Hi, welcome to another episode of the Horror Appraisal. I'm Sam.
And I'm Evan.
We got a great video for you tonight, and I bet you can't guess what it is.
That's right, guys. This is one of the culminations of a project that we've been doing for a long time. We have done every year of the 1980s top 5 horror films of each year, and we have finally reached 1989.
I'm excited for this.
I'm very excited about this. Ripley's excited too.
This actually was a really tough video. Yeah, my dog Ripley, she says hi. Yeah. We are in a different location right now. We're in my living room, so we decided to let the Ripper hang with us.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get right into it. For honorable mention, we had a tough time picking between some movies, and I'll say there were a couple that didn't make it. The Dead Next Door was one that did not make it. Mm-hmm. I love that movie, but there are some other good ones. What was something else that didn't make it? Society.
Society did not make the cut. For
Chud 2.
Did we see Chud 2?
I've got it.
I don't know if I've seen it.
Chud the Bud or Bud the Chud.
Bud the Chud.
Something like that. Anyway, what is the honorable mention?
The honorable mention, Sam, for 1989 is the 5th entry into one of the most notable slasher franchises of all time. And it is Nightmare on Elm Street 5.
The Dream Child.
The Dream Child, yes.
What else was that child in?
Oh, golly. The kid who played the kid in that movie, he was in Jurassic Park.
Yes.
He was the kid in Jurassic Park that Sam Neill at the end has the raptor claw, and he teaches them a lesson about being respectful.
Cut your belly.
Cut you across the belly. The point is, you are alive when they start to eat you. Yeah.
At any rate, Nightmare 5 had some decent things about it.
Absolutely.
The imagery is one of those things that's a positive.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like actress Lisa Wilcox came into her own as Alice in this movie.
Yeah.
I feel like she really kind of became the protagonist that we wanted. And I feel like if she'd have had maybe one more film, she would have been really good. Obviously, she didn't have the charm of Heather Langenkamp, but I think that also had to do with the director. It being the difference there. So the director for this one was Stephen Hopkins. Mm-hmm. And do you have anything that you really like about this movie?
I do. I have a sequence in this film that I quite enjoy. It is when Dan is on his motorcycle trying to get to Alice.
This boy feels a need for speed.
Yeah. It's so cool because it's a great Freddy dream sequence. Like the guy's on the bike and the bike begins to all the wires and stuff start getting into his veins and everything else.
That would hurt, bub.
Dude, it would. And he becomes meshed or immersed in the bike. The bike takes him over bionically and where else, and it's so cool. The whole transformation and that's just a really cool effect. And Freddy's a face in the console of the bike talking about him. Don't dream and drive, Dan.
On the opposite spectrum, end of the spectrum, you've got the comic book kill.
Yeah, that wasn't so hot.
Faster than a Petromaniac.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know. When I was a kid, I actually thought that was really cool because, of course, I love comic books. And it's not the worst thing ever, but it's
a bloodless kill.
Yeah, but you know what?
And I can't stand that guy.
It is a bloodless kill, but it's still not, but it was still an imaginative kill. I mean, Freddy does a great job of attacking you with what he can do or what you. Well, Freddy only attacks you with what you bring to him.
And you've got the chick eating the food until she blows up, essentially.
That actually I think is disgusting. I cannot stand that scene. Her cheeks are all puffed out. The movie has, just like other entries in the franchise, the movie has great special effects.
And the way he's killed, his kid, doesn't he jump into him or something and kind of he vomits out his bad. Blah! He goes, he spits out the bad into Freddy.
Well, it's it's just cool because at that point Freddy was just trying to get into a new body. I think a lot of slashers ended up taking that route. And for example, that's always Chucky's modus operandi, trying to get into a body. Jason even did it in Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, that was a bad mistake. It's always a bad mistake.
Don't change it up.
Unless it's your original motive, like Chucky.
Yeah.
Anyway, number 5. This is one of those movies that you probably like more than me.
Mm-hmm.
976 Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Who's in this?
Starring Stephen Jeffries, actually.
Directed by Robert Englund.
Directed by Robert Englund. The film also stars notable actress Sandy Dennis, who actually won an Oscar, I think it was in 1966, for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And that's actually quite a good movie. You should really check that out sometime.
976 Evil is not going to win any awards.
No.
It might win. It might win like most horrible movie, but it's got a charm about it.
It does. 976 Evil is Stephen Jeffries stars as this kind of like loser kid. And by the way, this is the film that Stephen Jeffries decided to do instead of Fright Night 2.
I think that Stephen Jeffries would have had a better career, and Fright Night would have had a more
lasting.
Yeah, it would have had a
legacy.
It would have had a more lengthy legacy.
Yeah.
If he had stuck with the series, and I think that Stephen Jeffries.
Well, he didn't want to turn. He wanted to turn down like the opportunity to work with Robert Englund. I don't blame him. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. He thought Robert Englund was going to put something good out there. Problem is, Robert Englund's not a director, and I don't think anybody really.
It's not a great film. It makes our top 5 because we like it very much. This is our personal opinion.
One of the best things is when it essentially is about this horror scope.
It's a 900 number.
It's a 900 number, and this kid who basically is picked on by everybody. He doesn't have a whole lot of friends.
No, he's got his cousin.
He's a loser.
His cousin is like the bad boy of the movie. He has a motorcycle. And
he's
a
a loser.
Jacket. Yeah, his name is Hoax. He's a total loser.
So he calls this horror scope, and he essentially gets possessed by a demon.
Yeah, it starts to give him powers. It tries to get him. He tries to cast spells to get the girl that he likes to love him and stuff. Of course, it backfires, or maybe he's actually trying to get revenge on her for spurring his advances.
He kills people.
Yeah.
And what is one of the best parts about the movie?
Well, I think one of the best parts about the movie is some of the effects in it. I think it's a funny movie.
Well, he kills somebody in particular, and
then. Which kill are you talking about? I'm sorry.
He says that's what the plastic's for.
Oh yeah. Well, there's this really obnoxious bird at his mom's house. His mom no, it's not his mom. It's his aunt. That's who Sandy Dennis plays.
Yeah.
And she's just real obnoxious. She's kind of abusive. She's a Bible thumper. She's got plastic on all the furniture and everything, and the bird tells on him or something. But I remember it's right after he kills his aunt or somebody, and the bird is saying, you're gonna spill something, and he kills the bird. He's like, that's what the plastic's for, asshole. I love that. I actually love that.
It really makes me laugh.
Yeah.
When it happens, because it's so out. Would you quit pressing on me, Ripley?
I'll tell you one kill that I actually like, because this movie is kind of hokey, but there's all the bullies that have always bothered him, and I forgot about this until just now. He goes to kill these bullies, and there's one kid left at the card table. He comes in, he's already been possessed, and he says he wants in on the game or something, and he says, I have a pair of hearts. And he has those 2 hearts in his hand. Yeah, I always liked that. I thought that was cool.
It is a cheesy film. It's got
cheesy.
It's punny.
Very.
Moving on.
It also stars Robert Picardo, who played the holographic Doctor on Star Trek Voyager.
Exciting.
For me, it is, yes.
What is the next film?
The next film is another entry into a veteran slasher franchise.
You guys are probably going to be mad.
Well, a lot of people don't like this movie, but I think it's got a lot of charm.
I'm going to laugh at you.
But I think this movie has a lot of charm. The movie is Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason takes a big old wet bloody bite of the Big Apple.
I think it's a big tampon that he slaps against the wall.
Oh, that's disgusting, man.
This movie, wow. He starts in a lake and ends up in a bay, and then ends up in the ocean on a cruise ship.
He
goes on a cruise ship and ends up in
what's the word when you sneak on board or something?
He's a stowaway.
He's kind of a stowaway. Like he's kind of like on the underside of this ship, and he ends up in Manhattan. But this movie I think has some good kills in it too. Like the one dude who's in it, he's like a poor man's Robert Stack. Remember Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries?
Yes.
Love that guy.
That guy's terrible in this movie.
Yeah, he was the voice of Ultra Magnus in the Transformers movie. Anyway, but like this guy kind of reminds me of like Robert Stack's like not talked about cousin who's in this
He's
film.
terrible in this though. Mm-hmm. This guy is.
He's a scumbag.
There are a couple really imaginative kills in this.
Yeah.
But I think what really gets this for me is I love how Jason looks.
I was gonna say that.
He's waterlogged. He came out of the lake, and he's just nasty looking. His skin is gross, and this might be my favorite look
at
for
the
Jason.
At the end, yeah, and at the end of the film, Jason demasks at the end of this film, doesn't he?
Well,
in the
sewer? He demasks in 7 when the mask
is true.
Is popped
he
off.
He demasked in 4.
Him demasking is not really so important. How he?
You know what though? Sorry, tired. This was the first time I ever saw Jason demasked. This film when I was a kid. I remember it came on Cinemax.
Well, this movie came out around the time that we were starting to get into horror. I mean, it was
1989. I was 7.
What is something unique about the original poster for this film?
And do we both have this poster?
I don't have it.
I have it.
It wasn't all that important for me to own it.
Well, I didn't realize it. Well, at the time, like it, if you ever been to New York, which I haven't, but if you ever been to New York, the big stuff.
I heart New York.
Yeah, I love New York, and one of the original like posters for this film, it was
Jason Mask.
Yeah, it was like a Jason mask. He's coming like out of the heart or something. So it was like I heart New York with Jason, and like a lot of people got really upset about it.
That poster got banned by the state of New York.
Yes.
And
state, county, and city of New York.
that poster got withdrawn from the campaign to promote the film. Yeah. So it's harder to get nowadays.
So now, but then the one that they came up with after that poster, isn't it him? Isn't it like the same? It's like him, but it's in front of the Twin Towers. Isn't it the Twin Towers?
He's like towering over the towers.
Yeah. So I mean, if you ask me, that's way more.
It was.
But of course, at the time, it wasn't.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah. Always.
But there's a funny scene in this where he punches a boxer's head off. Like he gets in a fist fight.
Remember what the boxer says to him right before? Because like the boxer's like
he says, "Give me your best shot." Like, take your best shot, mother.
Yeah, that's exactly what he says. Because like the guy's been boxing Jason, and Jason's just like taking it, and like the guy's like all worn out, and he's like, "Give me your best shot, mother," and Jason just goes. And like it shows the guy's head.
It's like the worst head ever in a horror film. It's like a plastic mannequin head covered in a little bit of black.
It's not that bad.
They spray painted it black because he's a black guy. I mean, it really was a bad effect. Like I feel like it was just not.
I'll have to review that again.
I feel like it just wasn't thought about that much. Anyway, moving on to a film that
yes,
we sometimes forget about, and you as horror fans may not have even seen this movie. It's got Dario Argento all over it. He co-wrote it. He co-produced it.
Mm-hmm.
He put his money into it.
Yeah.
His daughter is in it, Asia Argento.
The lovely Asia Argento.
Directed by Michelle Soavi. Is that her name?
I guess that's his name. It looks like Michael. I guess I know in some European countries that's kind of pronounced Michelle.
Michele.
Yeah, we're gonna call him Michael. Michael Soavi.
He directed Cemetery Man, which is an amazing.
Yes, he did. He went on to direct
90s.
Cemetery Man.
Anyway, it's The Church.
The Church. In some countries, it's called Church of Demons or Demon Church.
This is an inventive, original film.
It is.
It has its slow moments, but it also has some really. It has a lot of moments of charm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some good effects. It has, honestly, a complicated story, though.
Yeah, honestly, the story is about. It's in medieval Germany. A group of Teutonic knights slaughter a village of people suspected of witchcraft. So they bury them in a big like mass grave, and they construct a church over it.
Yes.
And like now we switch to modern times, and there's a new librarian for the church, and they're looking at all its secrets. It's odd that like no one. There have been no kings ever buried at this cathedral or anything else, because the cathedral is really there to keep in all these evil demons and spirits underneath it. That's the whole point of the church.
Yeah, it's a tomb.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And basically this guy gets curious and he ends up unsealing evil and lets it loose.
When he looses the demons, it's really we actually we watched this scene again, and he finds this bag under a seal, and he opens this bag and it's got a bunch of demon hands coming out and rubbing on his face and stuff. It's really reminiscent of the demon hands and demons.
It's like he opens it's to me it's even scarier than that, because he opens the bag and these hands just come up and start to choke him. And it's just, I've seen this movie several times, but watching it again in preparation for this review, I had actually forgotten about that, and it actually really scared me.
Well, that guy is involved in several neat scenes. There's one where he's looking in. Is it in holy water, like an infinity pool kind of thing?
It's not. That's not the same guy. That's a guy who's trapped in the church later.
But there is another cool scene where this guy's like a demon. And he's got big wings. And
that is the same guy.
He kind of looks like looks like a statue.
That is the same guy. Because he gets possessed and
he's holding this naked woman, and it's in a church, and it's just shot in a way that feels like such a violation of the church. It affects me, but when I'm watching it, I'm like, wow, it's a really shocking imagery. And there's another scene where there's this goat demon. It's really really great effects.
Yeah, there's a scene in it that actually reminds me quite a lot of what was that film we saw? Was it called Antichrist?
Oh man, Antichrist!
It's that scene with the goat demon thing. But
there's some licking and a goat backed up on a woman.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, the church it's got great effects. It's one of those movies. It's beautifully shot.
There's a great kill.
There's several great kills.
My favorite kill is the jackhammer.
The jackhammer through the guy, yeah. That's so ugly and
his guts are just
visual.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And I know we maybe mentioned avoiding this topic, but in this movie, Asia Argento is very young. And it's odd because it feels like she's sexualized in this movie.
She is sexualized.
She's like she's maybe 14.
Well, she is sexualized because the guy who is possessed, the guy who's the librarian who unleashes the evil, there's actually one scene where he's under the table and he's looking at her bare legs, and he's becoming very lascivious, and then he kind of advances towards her, and then she freaks out and runs, and the stuff he says is very ominous and creepy. And
the movie in general, it crosses some lines, and it does breach the comfort barrier for some people. But in that respect, moving on, it is a quality film.
Yeah,
and it definitely earned the right as a unique film.
At the end of it, there's an effect that I quite like with this big thing rising up in the middle of the cathedral. It's like all the bodies of the people who've been buried. It looks like it's like something out of a.
They're melted together.
It's like something out of a Renaissance painting where it shows depictions of hell and everything else. It really is like art on film like that. It's pretty scary.
Well, it took a lot of talent on those actors' part.
Absolutely.
What's number 2?
Number 2 is a movie that is very near and dear to my heart because we rented it a few times when I was a kid, and honestly, this movie has just about never ceased to scare me. Even as an adult, the imagery isn't as scary to me now because I can see the movie magic in some of it, but it's the idea of it. The movie is the adaptation of Stephen King's novel Pet Sematary.
It's a scary film, and I think that anybody who saw it as a kid, tell me you can't relate. It's a scary movie.
I was terrified of this film as a kid. I was absolutely terrified of the idea of putting someone and love into the ground. They come back as something else.
Well, and we had the pleasure of meeting a few of these people. And,
most of the cast, except for Fred Gwynn.
It was directed by Mark Lambert, or Mary Lambert. Mary Lambert, a female director, which is something you don't really see a whole lot in horror. Obviously written by Stephen King. You've got
Dale Midkiff.
I'm trying to read the thing.
Denise Crosby.
Miko Hughes, which is now he's now a DJ.
Is that what he does?
We interacted with him at Scarefest. We saw Denise Crosby and Dale Midkiff, and they were the family, and it was kind of neat to hear Denise Crosby talk about it because she had grown quite fond of them, and when she, had to visit and see Miko Hughes as a kid at a funeral, she said basically she really felt like she was watching her own child. And she said it was a very honest performance on her part, the way she dealt with that. And I can see that, but there's something also really awesome about that. They said about Stephen King that he had long hair and he was listening to like metal all the time in his car, just like chilling.
Yeah, Stephen King. Stephen King actually has a cameo in the film, as he does in many of his film adaptations. He's the priest giving the last rites at a funeral. But this is actually the film that Denise Crosby left Star Trek: The Next Generation to make, because she was going to have this big film career, and then she just tried to get back on Star Trek after that.
Well, I think she did.
She made a few films.
She did good in Pet Sematary, but her film career really just didn't take off.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, this film to me, golly, it's just it does a really good job of creating a scary environment. This film builds tension. It builds tension as a horror film, because you
got the guy that got hit by the truck.
Yeah, you get a guy that he is driven to the point of insanity because spoilers for Pet Sematary. You should have seen it by now. But his child dies. He's like 2, if you want, and so he is going to take him to the old Micmac Indian burial ground where things come back.
Now what the play?
Yeah, so he does that with his son, and it's a great story because he's doing it so completely out of love, but at that point he's so insane and misguided that he doesn't understand how bad of a mistake it's going to be.
At that point, love is a possessing quality for him.
Absolutely.
And one of the cool things about this movie that I really like, and you probably still scares you.
It does.
It's the mother's sister.
Absolutely, Zelda. And even though when I got older, because the mother is Denise Crosby's character is recounting the story of she had a sister who had spinal meningitis, and that could drive you crazy back in the '60s or whenever that supposedly happened in the story. And it's just a twisted monster in a bed, with yellow parchment for skin.
She's been reduced to that.
Oh my God! But it helped me out late as I got older when I realized that wasn't a woman playing that part. It was actually a man in drag.
Yeah,
and actually that helped me
when he spits the food out.
Yeah, it actually helped me get over it a little bit. But when I was a little kid, I was like, I just thought this was a real monster they had found somewhere to play this part. And it really scared me. But Pet Sematary, great scare film. Got really good, has very good effects too. It's a ghost film. It's
one of the better ghost films.
It's an undead film. It mixes several things. But the thing about Pet Sematary is it's just pure straight up horror, no matter how you look at it.
I agree. It's one of those films that it's unique. It stands by itself. It is not. There is nothing else like it.
No, they did try to. You might remember they did try to capitalize a couple years later on the success of the film.
Oh God!
Did you know that?
Yeah, Pet Sematary 2.
Starring who?
Oh God!
Edward Furlong.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, it was a terrible movie.
Anyway, number 1, we just got done rewatching this film, and man, this film never gets any less fun.
No, it does not. It's a great slasher.
We picked up a newer uncut copy of it.
Yeah. It's available on Blu-ray. Is it still available on Blu-ray? Is it easily procured now?
It was a limited release, but it is procurable.
Okay.
And the uncut version of Intruder, if you haven't seen it, is vastly more violent than the original version. We saw the original version.
I bought the original version.
I just let it slip. Intruder is number 1.
Yeah, you did. But yeah, Intruder, directed by Sam Raimi.
No,
it's not. Oops.
No, it's not directed by Sam. It's directed by Scott Spiegel. Scott Spiegel.
I can't read that far
And
away.
it stars Elizabeth Cox, Renee Estevez, Dan Hess, which is amazing in this. You might recognize him from Evil Dead 2. It's got Sam Raimi, Ted Raimi, and Bruce Campbell with a cameo.
With a little cameo at the end, yes.
I remember you bought this movie at Suncoast, and we watched it, and at the end we're like, oh, Bruce Campbell's in it for a second, and that's what we remembered from it. It was not a good cut.
No,
it was
wasn't.
butchered. It was cut to where it was not a good.
It really wasn't.
It was
that
very
good.
similar to My Bloody Valentine in that respect, but when you watch this uncut, it's one of the best slashers ever, and probably the best kill anywhere in any slasher movie. There is a scene, and not
kill for kill. It is like one of the best slashers ever made, man.
It's repeated over and over. There's one where a dude gets his head crushed in a trash compactor.
Yeah.
There's this scene where this guy is like impaled on a knife. It's like
it's like the knife is like this.
It goes this deep,
like
into his,
this long.
and blood's like. It's such a good kill. And it really makes like a tearing. It sounds like.
But you know, like I said, every kill in this is so good.
It pales in comparison to the big.
Pales in comparison to a scene involving a bandsaw.
Yeah, this guy's foreshadowing. This guy's cutting chickens with a bandsaw in a supermarket because they used to really
whatever saw they used for that. Yeah.
And they can the filmmakers, which Greg Nicotero worked on this. That should tell you how amazing the effects are in this. But because
he does the effects for what, of course.
Well, he does Walking Dead, and he's done a lot of other horror movies. He's done.
Yeah, well, Walking Dead was because you had mentioned that to me, and I didn't realize that.
Well, he's one of the. He just directed some episodes, and he also does the effects.
Oh, okay.
But he's done a lot of really great horror films.
Okay.
But the head in this, they basically, when the directors saw this, I watched this with commentary back in the day, and they said, we can't release this because the head that they use, and they run it through the bandsaw. It looks so real.
Oh my God!
It looks like a human being is being murdered.
It does. Like we had to rewind it a couple times and watch it because like especially when it's like making the cut like right underneath the teeth, like it's one of the most realistic effects I've ever seen using a prosthetic.
With almost without question, it takes the number one spot for me of any slasher killer.
I agree.
Any slasher kill. It is so realistic and so startling, but it's also very amazing.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi has a fun kill in this. Ted Raimi has a fun kill in this. There's a fun kill with one of those receipt holders where the dude's eye gets put down on
the receipt spike.
Yeah.
Invoices. Yeah.
But honestly, second to that is the performance of
Dave Hess?
Dan Hess.
Dan Hess.
From Evil Dead 2.
That guy's a great character actor. He was in Maniac Cop.
Maniac Cop.
Yeah.
He's really awesome.
He had a bit part in Darkman too. In Darkman, I know you don't care, but I love Darkman. In Darkman, he's the gangster in Durant's squad that like has the false leg.
Yeah.
And he pulls it up and it's like it's a gun. I love that guy.
But it's funny because when you watch him in interviews and stuff, he's so put together.
Yeah.
He plays a redneck bumpkin so well.
Yeah. I love the fact that, this is such a goofy movie. And it's all about a guy who's just upset because he's losing his job at a grocery store.
Well, he's getting money. He's getting a lot of money. Like, they're selling the store off.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to lose that. That's like his life. What does he say? What does he say that we just laugh at?
Can't you see? I'm just crazy about this store.
Yeah, I love that. Once it's revealed that he's
carrying
the killer.
a decapitated head down
Yeah, God, he's great. But, so...
We hope you've enjoyed the 1989 video. I did want to comment about something. Pumpkinhead was released in 88, but some things say 1989. And The Church was released in Italy in 88, but we got it here in America in 89.
If IMDb says it's 89, I'm going with 89.
There are, well, it's not always that way. I mean, it's a tricky thing. So
it's tricksy.
We've got good movies in our 88 list. We've got good movies now on our 89 list. So we hope that you are happy with what we've said. So to recap things, on honorable mention, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child.
Number 5 is 976 Evil.
Number 4 is Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Number 3 is the great artistically and beautifully directed by Michelle Suavi, The Church.
At number 2 was Pet Sematary.
And of course, number 1 for 1989, the film Intruder.
We hope you've enjoyed our video. We've got many more to come. We've got a live broadcast coming to you June 4th, 10 p.m. Be sure to tune in. We will be announcing what movie that is very soon, and we hope to see you.
Yeah, so thanks again, guys. We love making these videos for you. You know, this takes us, to the end of 1989, but me and Sam are pretty sure we're going to go ahead and make the top 5 for 1990 as well.
Because there were some films that were made and they were being worked on in 88 and 89, and they carried over and were finally released in 1990.
God, we'd hate not to talk about.
I mean, there was some stuff like Sematary Man, Dead Alive, stuff like that. Good things.
Yeah. All right. Well, once again, please follow us on. We have a YouTube channel, The Horror Appraisal, where you can see all of our videos. The older ones,
subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Some of the older ones I think will probably be kind of tough to get through now. But we've kind of just developed talking about horror films. It's what we love to do and talk about, and we hope you enjoy that too. Or else
follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter at the horror app with
the horror app. Yeah.
APP.
We are very friendly people. We will always talk to you.
Well,
we're getting very close to 5,500 followers.
Yeah, and I remember we got to 2,000 and 3,000 followers. We're like, wow, I can't believe we have this many followers, and we're getting ready to hit 55.
Scott Farkas followed us the other day.
Yeah, I saw that. That was awesome. Scott Farkas. He had yellow eyes. I swear to God, yellow eyes.
He was, that was the same guy in Freddy vs. Jason.
He
was the brother in Freddy vs. Jason that got.
He was. Yeah. He was on that show. Okay, we've plugged him.
Anyway. Have a great night.
Wonderful night. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.